Well, I am surprised this didn't happen sooner than later. I thought it would happen after Utah put theirs out. But it looks like Florida is chiming in on the age verification bill. They're going to be releasing their own version of this. Now, I spent about 10 years in Florida. And one thing I've learned is, there's a lot of religion there when it comes to that particular state. It's very strong. I mean, you got Baptists, you got Christians, you have a couple of Muslim groups in there as well, as far as religion. I mean, but it's mostly you see Baptist Christians mostly in there, and evangelicals, which is very strong in there. I mean, it's like every other. If you lived in the Fort Lauderdale to Miami range, it's like every other block has a church on, in that neighborhood. In fact, I worked for a gentleman who was a priest in a Baptist Christian church. And one thing about working for him, he didn't push his values on to the employees. It was a duplication editing house. We didn't do any porn or anything to that nature. He would move away from it. One time we got one that was close to it, and he denied that job. But all in all, he was a hunter. So we used to work on the company Realtree Outdoors, Mossy Oak, and all that. We used to put out their videos on there. In fact, that's where I saw Vern, on his character Bubba. We used to teach kids how to properly use guns on there. They had training tapes. Also, we did work with the ABC Network with the World Series, and of course Tybo. Tybo was one of the big contracts we worked on down there. But the thing about it is, and I've said this many times before, you have some of these religious folks that are politicians, and they have to understand one thing. They always say, in the Bible always says, turn the other cheek. And the thing is that they try to use pornography, anything that's adult. So, I mean, there are people that are calling, Sports Illustrated Bikini Edition, they're calling that, softcore or hardcore porn, which it's not. Cosmopolitan. Recently, there was a calendar that was released with conservative women that were on there. I think one was the girl who was the swimmer. She was on the front end of the calendar. And they were saying it was softcore porn. I said, that's not softcore porn. You're wearing a bikini. I mean, what do you call Sears catalogs and all that when you're wearing the bikini? What do you call Victoria's Secrets? I mean, come on, really. Think about that for a minute. But we're going to read this off of XBiz today. Florida pastor legislator introduces anti-porn age verification bill. And this is Gustav Turner again. Hat tip to him on this article. A Republican state legislator who is also a pastor has introduced a copycat age verification legislation sponsored around the country by anti-porn religious conservative activists. Yeah, you notice it's copycat. There's no difference. They just literally, it's cut and paste. Cut and paste. That's what they're doing with these laws. They can't stand alone on themselves to make their own law. They have to create the same law from one place to the next. Republican Chase Tremont, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, from Central Florida, who was ordained in 2004 and serves as a pastor at the Ocean Way Church, introduced the HB3 in the State House. Tremont's bill would require entities that publish harmful to minors to use third-party services to verify that the person attempting to view the content is an adult, the Florida Phoenix reported. Now, if you notice that says there, to publish content harmful to minors. What do you consider harmful to minors? Could you explain that to me? They didn't say porn. They're saying content that's harmful to minors. You can say it's porn, but they're not really defining. Again, I said, R-rated material, Cosmopolitan, Sports Illustrated, bikini stuff. This is the situation that they keep throwing at you. All these are censorship bills. This is why I hit on the right and I hit on the left when it comes to this. Let's continue on. The bill defines harmful content as content that the average person applying contemporary community standards would find taken as a whole appeals to the prudent interest, depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual content, and lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value for minors. Now, I'm going to ask this question. R-rated and NC-17 movies, would you include that on there? Because there are many movies like Red Shoe Diaries, Caligula, and many others, Dressed to Kill, and other movies that have sex involved in it that a child shouldn't see. Would you ban that? Is that something you would ban? Think about that for a moment before answering, because this is what they do want eventually. That's what they want to get rid of. They want to this is the 1990s all over again. Every 10 years or so, they want to push something like this over and over and over again. But meanwhile, this is the same people that pushed out Saturday morning cartoons. Remember that. They put out a children's television act that literally destroyed the Saturday morning cartoon. You got rid of the stuff kids should be watching and saying, no, you have to have more education. I mean, to this day, NBC and CBS are still running educational programming. They're not running cartoons. Unlike MeTV, which has a 3-hour block on Saturday morning with cartoons. Let's continue on this article. The clergyman's definition appears to be a variation on the Miller's Test definition of obscenity, which follows the pro-censorship tradition of blurring the long-held distinction between the First Amendment protection pornography and the non-protected obscenity. When it comes to minors, further complicated by deploying the vague pseudo-medical term harmful. And this is correct. They want to throw these things, oh, it's harmful, this is the way it should. You haven't done the research. You've done what they call the Cliff Notes version of it. And this is what they do constantly. Whether it's about the internet, whether it's about climate change, whether it's about medical, they just do the Cliff Notes and nothing is, doesn't make sense at all. A parallel proposal, HB1, from Representative Tyler Cyrus from Brevard County, would require companies to make sure that their users are over 16 years, the Florida Phoenix reported. In response, the House Democratic leader, I'm sorry if I mispronounced this one, Fentrish Driscoll, told members of the press on Monday that the House legislature should trust parents to raise their kids and focus on issues we can do something about, like the housing crisis. Absolutely 100%. I don't really see how the law can be enforced or used, Driscoll added. It seems performative to me. I do think social media can have bad effects on our society and kids specifically, but I don't think that this bill is going to solve the problem at all. Absolutely, it's not going to solve. As experts reported, leading conservative anti-porn crusaders have admitted that the current proliferate state-by-state age verification laws are a mere stepping stone in an organized effort to ban all adult content online and revive the obscenity prosecutions. Industry attorney Lawrence Walters, whose Walters Law Group is based in Florida, told XBiz that the state is jumping into age verification game with a copycat legislation that is utterly doomed to failure. Walters noted that unlike some other recent state age verification laws, violations detailed in HB 3 can be enforced by state, in addition to civil lawsuits by or on behalf of minors. If passed, Walters explained that the law can be quickly challenged as a violation of both the First Amendment and the Dormant Commerce Clause on the grounds of Section 230 preemption. Legal precedent finding similar laws unconstitutional is well established. Should Florida pass this law, it will lead to a litigation that will waste taxpayer dollars. And it's enough that they're suing Disney already for a lot of situations on there. Floridians, Walters concluded, should be trusted to care for their own minor children by installing age-appropriate contact restriction tools without the need for government to act as a nanny state. Fellow attorney Corey Silverstein of Silverstein's Legal told XBiz he's actually surprised it took Florida this long to jump on the age verification bandwagon, given their historical conservative nature. Nonetheless, Florida has decided to give itself some enforcement powers instead of just creating private cause of action, leaving itself open to swift legal challenges. As I committed previously, I believe these age verification laws are ridiculous and unconstitutional. The lawmakers passing them seem to ignore the legal precedent and the First Amendment altogether. Unfortunately, he added, it seems as though the industry is going to have to wait for some success outcomes in the courts before this current age verification push ends. And that's correct. And the thing about it is, remember this point and perspective. They want to revive the obscenity prosecutions. Now, if you're not familiar on that, go back to the 70s and down back further before that on what they did. Remember, people like George Carlin were arrested under these obscenity prosecutions. There were many others, people, filmmakers, directors, actors, actresses that were arrested because of these obscenity prosecutions. You know, you couldn't make some of the movies that are made today, you have to put to that perspective. You know, you had the Hays Code that was running from the late 30s on until the 70s, even though it was deposed in the 50s by the Supreme Court. It took another 10 years before the Hollywood was able to recoup from that. And you saw what happened in the 1970s, 1980s, and the early 90s. You had a renaissance of filmmaking. And you had language, you had, action. Yeah, you had violence, you had sex. You had situations that were more detailed to what the consumer wanted. This is what they wanted to see. We wouldn't have had the black exploitation era on there if it wasn't for the changes of the obscenity laws. We wouldn't have the horror film industry the way it is today, the porn industry, the modeling industry. Think about this for a minute. For them to sit there and say, well, this was very obscene to me and they need to be arrested. That is, some Nazi-ish type of thought. If you don't enjoy the material, you don't enjoy the movie, the book, the magazine, nobody's telling you to look at that. Using children is completely way out of scheme. Yes, there are some kids out there that, we've known for many years. It used to be, before the internet, it was National Geographic or Playboy or anything of that nature. But are you going to ban all that? Anything that has nudity in it, anything that has sex in it, because you don't want your child to watch that? Parents should be paying attention to what their children are doing. This is the situations that have been fought in court for numerous lawsuits. I mean, you had that lawsuit in the 90s over one rock band that basically 2 young men committed suicide by shotgun, and they blamed the lyrics of the music, that they said the music was telling them to kill themselves. But see, the thing about it is, where were the parents? These kids were locked in their room, listening to music, smoking pot, drinking, and the parents weren't checking up, saying, "Hey, what's going on? Everything okay?" Sit, talk with your children. Yes, children have problems. It's all part of the growing up. As I grown up, I had my problems. I went out. I made sure I got help. Whether it's my parents, whether it's my friends, or if I went to get professional help. This is all available to the parent. We don't need the government to step in on this. All this is a censorship situation. They said, well, we need to get rid of the porn. It's all evil and stuff like that. Fine, they get rid of all the porn. They're not going to stop there. They are not going to stop there. They're going to go after Dave Chappelle and many other comedians. They're going to go after all the magazines and stuff like that. They'll censor stuff like National Geographic. They'll censor many other things. Victoria's Secret catalogs. You won't see those runway models dressed the way they are because they'll censor that as well. And you'll say, well, that's not going to happen. They said they wouldn't arrest reporters, but that's going on right now. I mean, a reporter was arrested in Canada just for talking to a politician, and a police officer decided to bump into the reporter and arrest him for assault. People say, well, that's never going to happen. It's happening. It is happening. The United Kingdom has signed off on it. They have Ofcom doing the censorship. Already, they're ahead of themselves. The movie The Abyss is supposed to have been going to be released in the UK. It's now not going to be released because they found the scene with the rat in the oxygen water to be, they call it animal cruelty. But the thing about it is, the fluid is oxygen. And the people that are responsible for that technology were consultants on the film. But UK didn't even bother looking that up. They didn't bother talking to Cameron about it. And I know James Cameron did say, listen, we had experts on the field. Nobody got hurt as far as that. No animal, no person. This is filmmaking. It's part of the film. You want to remove that section of it. Remember the whole Netflix debacle of the Ooh La La scene where they removed the cover of a sex book, which in the 1950s, early pornography. It was a girl in lingerie. It was no nudity or anything of that nature. But someone decided in their great wisdom to remove that out of Back to the Future. And they got caught on it and called out on it. And they had to put it back in. See, this is what we're talking about. They're going to put disclaimers on movies to apologize for them. They're going to put disclaimers that says, well, there's violence in this episode. I mean, I'm watching Law and Order episodes on a network called Charge. And every other episode, there's a warning on the front, which it doesn't need to be. Obviously, if you're watching CSI, if you're watching Law and Order, there's going to be some sort of violence in there. If you put a rating on it and say, yeah, there's going to be, there's violence, there's crime, that's good enough. Not to say, well, we have people smoking in this episode. We have people committing suicide. If the person doesn't, reads the description, and the description explains it in just a few seconds, that's all you need. Oh, no, someone's suicide. I don't want to watch that. This is the stupidity coming from both sides of the aisle. I'm surprised the Democrat in Florida was pushing against this. I'm really shocked on it, but bravo to them that they're going to be fighting this in Florida. And yeah, everyone's surprised. This should have happened sooner than later. So, let me know in the comments, your thoughts about this. Have they gone too far with these, these copycat bills that are just going from state to state? I think Montana just activated theirs as well, and two others just at January 1st. Don't forget to hit that like, share this video, because it's very important. Because we're dealing with censorship here, folks. We're dealing with censorship. Ask the people in the United Kingdom, ask people in Australia, ask people in Russia. Have we gotten censorship of product here? Yes, absolutely. And they're trying to push it here in the United States. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out all of our other videos here on CutyCast TV and Man with the Show. Until next time, see ya.
Thanks for watching, commenting, and sharing this video. below, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe as this helps the reach of this channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have the ability to help support this channel as new internet laws around the world will diminish our reach and affect our sponsors. If you choose to help, there are two ways listed in the description below. The first link will lead you to a pay site where you can make a monetary donation. The second will lead you to our gear shop where you can buy shirts, mugs, and other gear. Discounts will be listed on the site. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.